Hello again, everybody. It is Monday morning, February the 22nd, and time once again for the mailbag. How are you guys doing? Good to see you. I hope you've had a good week, a better week than I've had, a better week than my whole state has had, and a good weekend. I know that some of you are probably surprised to see me today. You're probably thinking, how on earth is Thomas able to do a mailbag following a week in which his entire state was encased in snow and ice and having horrible problems? Well, you're right. It was not a good week for physical mail. I only got one physical package last week, and that was Monday before the deluge hit. But it was a very, very busy week for electronic ARCs. eARCs came in like you would not believe. So I think I have something like 16 or 17 of them today. And one physical package, which we're going to start out with. So, yeah, I don't really have any other announcements except to say, Hugo nominations, that process is ongoing, I believe, until the middle of March. So if you are either a supporting or attending member of this year's Worldcon in DC, or if you have been a previous member of last year's Worldcon or the year before, you may, of course, nominate this year. So I will leave that link below, as always. Otherwise, yeah, without further ado, let's get into these books, because there is a ton of them. And most of the eARCs this time come in from Tor, although, we have a few from Random Penguin and others. So, yeah, let's go. I'm going to start out with the one lonely physical package this week, and it comes in from Macmillan. And it is the finished copy in hardcover of Sarah Gailey's new novel, The Echo Wife. And this actually came in last week on the 16th of February. And it says, let's see, Sarah, The Echo Wife is the upcoming novel from critically acclaimed and award-winning author Sarah Gailey. Okay. It says, meet renowned scientist Evelyn Caldwell. She's highly decorated for the strides she's made when it comes to genetic replicas and cloning, and has even accomplished creation of replicas. Unfortunately, not all is well at home. She's recently discovered that her husband, Nathan, has been having an affair. To make matters worse, the affair is with Evelyn's own genetically cloned replica, made behind Evelyn's back with research stolen from her own lab. After a morning that begins with a confrontation and ends with Nathan's body bleeding out on the kitchen floor, the two Caldwell wives will have to think fast before sharing everything, includes sharing a jail cell. Interesting. Okay. This could be played as a dark comedy, of course, but I don't know. I mean, is it really cheating if it's, it's not you, but if it's a clone of you, isn't that close enough to being you that... I suppose, I guess Evelyn thinks it definitely is cheating. All right, then. So this is available now from Tor Books in hardcover, The Echo Wife. Yeah, I don't really feel like I can judge Nathan all that harshly, right? He's probably very lonely. His wife is putting in all those very, very late hours in the lab, right? What's a guy to do? You've got a clone of your wife right there. Good grief. All right, anyway. On to the eARCs, and like I said, I have a ton of them, and I have assembled them, the list here, in chronological order of release. Good Lord, I'm so organized. Okay, starting out on March the 2nd. This is a book coming out from Del Rey, and it is Small Magic by Terry Brooks. Terry Brooks has, of course, finished his Shannara series after 40 long years, and this is his first short story collection. It spans his entire career from 1977 to 2020, and it says it's basically a collection of all of his both new and fan favorite stories, set in all three of his major literary worlds, including Shannara, Magic Kingdom, and The Word and the Void. And so, these are not all new stories. They span his entire career, so some of them have been anthologized before, but it looks like a few of them are new anyway. But that's the first eARC today, Small Magic by Terry Brooks from Del Rey on March the 2nd. Now, moving ahead to April the 13th. We have a book in from Rebellion, and this one is one that's very exciting to me. This is The House of Styx by Derek Kunsken. And this was previously serialized, actually, in analog. But the House of Styx, this is volume 1 of a new series called Venus Ascendant. And it is set in the universe of the Quantum Magician, which was his previous duology, but 250 years earlier. Okay? And it says, in the swirling clouds of Venus, the families of La Colony live on floating plant-like trawlers, salvaging what they can in the fierce acid rain and crackling storms. Outside is dangerous, but humankind's hold on the planet is fragile, and they spend most of their days simply surviving. But Venus carries its own secrets too. In the depths there is a wind that shouldn't exist, and the House of Styx wants to harness it. All right. I'm going to say it takes a very hardy sort of person to want to colonize Venus, when you could as easily, colonize Mars. It's less work. But anyway, that one is going to be out on April the 13th. And on April the 27th, now moving over to Tor, we have a reprint coming out. This is a new edition of The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is a book that originally came out in 2017, and then it went out of print, and now it's back from Tor. And it says it's for fans of Mary Robinette Kowal's Regency fantasy novels. They are the beautiful ones, Losail's most notable socialites, and this spring is Nina's chance to join their ranks, courtesy of her well-connected cousin and his calculating wife. But the grand season has just begun, and already Nina's debut has gone disastrously awry. She has always struggled to control her telekinesis. Neighbors call her the Witch of Old House, and the haphazard manifestations of her powers make her the subject of malicious gossip. When entertainer Hector Alvray arrives to town, Nina is dazzled. A telekinetic like her, he has traveled the world performing his talents for admiring audiences. He sees Nina not as a witch, but ripe with potential to master her power under his tutelage. With Hector's help, Nina's talent blossoms, as does her love for him. But great romances are for fairy tales, and Hector is hiding a truth from Nina and himself that threatens to end their courtship before it truly begins. The Beautiful Ones is a charming tale of love and betrayal, and the struggle between conformity and passion, set in a world where scandal is a razor-sharp weapon. And that will be out April the 27th. Now, moving on ahead to May the 4th, we have another one from Tor, and another one I'm very excited about. This week's eARCs are really dropping a whole bunch of titles from my anticipated 2021 lists. So that's kind of exciting. This is Immunity Index by Sue Burke. Her new book, it's a new near-future hard SF novel that blends Orphan Black with Contagion in a terrifying outbreak scenario. Okay, just what we need after a year of an outbreak, right? In a U.S. facing growing food shortages, stark inequality, and a growing fascist government, 3 perfectly normal young women are about to find out that they share a great deal in common. Their creator, the gifted geneticist Peng, made them that way, before such things were outlawed. Rumors of a virus make their way through an unprotected population on the verge of rebellion, only to have it turn deadly. As the women fight to stay alive and help, Peng races to find a cure and the cover-up behind the virus. All right, and that will be out on May the 4th from Tor. Also on May the 4th, this one comes in from Del Rey, I believe. And it's Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, the 3rd novel by Andy Weir. All right, well now, I really enjoyed The Martian, as did we all. I was not such a big fan of Artemis. No. But Project Hail Mary sounds like it is closer to The Martian in the kind of story it is, but it sounds like he is raising the stakes quite a bit, in the tweaks that he has done to the basic scenario. It says, it's a brilliant and thrilling tale of survival. Project Hail Mary begins with a lone astronaut waking up in space, with no recollection of who he is, how he got there, or why his crewmates are dead. Astronaut Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last-chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth itself will perish. His crewmates dead, his memories fuzzily returning, Ryland realizes that an impossible task now confronts him. Hurtling through space on this tiny ship, it's up to him to puzzle out an impossible scientific mystery and conquer an extinction-level threat to our species. And with the clock ticking down and the nearest human being light years away, he's got to do it all alone. Or does he? All right, so Project Hail Mary on May the 4th from Del Rey Books. I may have to fast track that one. Now, next up, we have a book that I am extremely excited about. Hailey Piper was my most exciting horror discovery of last year. And now I'm now in the process of picking up everything else that she has written. And now in May, on May the 7th, we have a new collection of hers coming out. And later on in the year, she's doing her first novel. So very happy about that. But this is a collection by Hailey Piper coming out called Unfortunate Elements of My Anatomy. And it's described this way. It says, love twisted into horrific shapes, nightmares driven by cruel music, and a world where what little light remains fractures the sky into midnight rainbows, in 18 stories tracing the dark veins of queer horror, isolation, and the monstrous feminine. The universe unwinds to the tune of a malicious ice cream truck jingle in We All Scream. The law of conservation of death dictates that a ghost pursue his prey across her every reincarnation. Superstitions thrive even in the distant future and across the stars when a colony shuttle mounts a witch trial in Harry Jack, and try to forgive the adoring beast as it scavenges a world of dead gods for tokens of bloody affection, including 2 new short stories and a never-before-published novelette. Unfortunate Elements of My Anatomy digs deep inside and clings to the beating nightmare heart you always knew was there. Wow, yeah, I'm just going to gobble these up, I tell you. Very exciting. Unfortunate Elements of My Anatomy from Hailey Piper. This will be out May the 7th. Okay, and we're moving on ahead now to May the 11th. And we have a book in from Tor.com Publishing, and this is another one that has me insanely excited. This is A Master of Jinn by P.J. Lee Clark. This is the new story, and also P.J. Lee Clark's debut novel, set in his alternate steampunk, no, it's more like gearpunk, there it is, a gearpunk alternate 1912 Cairo. The previous volumes being The Haunting of Tramcar 015, and then there was a previous short story called A Dead Djinn in Cairo. And what's exciting about this one is we are back to Agent Fatma, who was the hero of A Dead Djinn in Cairo. Now she's back and the hero of this novel. So that's neat, because I really liked her. Anyway, I will shut up and read the synopsis here. It says, though Fatma el-Sharawi is the youngest woman working for the Ministry of Alchemy, Enchantments, and Supernatural Entities, she's certainly not a rookie, especially after preventing the destruction of the universe last summer. So when someone murders a secret brotherhood dedicated to one of the most famous men in history, Al-Jahiz, Agent Fatma is called onto the case. Al-Jahiz transformed the world 40 years ago when he opened up the veil between the magical and mundane realms, before vanishing into the unknown. This murderer claims to be Al-Jahiz, returned to condemn the modern age for its social oppressions. His dangerous magical abilities instigate unrest in the streets of Cairo that threaten to spill over onto the global stage. And this is A Master of Jinn by P.J. Lee Clark, available from Tor.com Publishing on May the 11th. Now moving on ahead, we have another one from Tor. This is a science fiction novel called Alien Day by Rick Wilbur. This comes out June the 1st. And June the 1st actually is a very busy day. The next few books are June the 1st releases. And it says, this one is set on a near-future Earth and on the alien homeworld of Shudan. Rick Wilbur's Alien Day explores murderous sibling rivalries, old-school mercantile colonialism, ambition, greed, and the saving strength that can emerge from reluctant heroes called to do the right thing despite the odds. Will Peter Holman rescue his sister Kate, or will she be the one to rescue him? Will Chloe Carey revive her acting career with the help of the princeling Treble, or will the insurgents take both their lives? Will Whistle or Two Clicks wind up in charge of Earth? And how will the mother who runs all of Shudan choose between them? And the most important question of all, who are the old ones that left all that technology behind for the Shudoni? And what if they came back? Okay, so it sounds like a story that has a lot of mysteries that it's trying to unravel. Alien Day comes out. It's by Rick Wilbur from Tor, June the 1st. And also on June the 1st from Tor.com Publishing, we have another anticipated title. This is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Niveau. This is a fantasy pastiche on The Great Gatsby, which sounds really, really interesting, and there's quite a bit of buzz for this book. It goes like this. Immigrant, socialite, magician. Jordan Baker grows up in the most rarefied circles of 1920s American society. She has money, education, a killer golf handicap, and invitations to some of the most exclusive parties of the Jazz Age. She's also queer and Asian, a Vietnamese adoptee treated as an exotic attraction by her peers, while the most important doors remain closed to her. But the world is full of wonders, infernal pacts and dazzling illusions, lost ghosts and elemental mysteries. In all paper is fire, and Jordan can burn the cut paper heart out of a man. She just has to learn how. So, this is a deco-punk fantasy, set in the 1920s. The Chosen and the Beautiful by Niveau, also on June the 1st. Now, next up on June the 1st, we have A Chorus Rises by Bethany C. Morrow. This is in from Tor-Teen, and this is a YA novel that is the sequel to A Song Below Water, all about a young girl who has, her magic is basically musical, as it were, all right? Anyway, it goes like this. It says, teen influencer Naima Bradshaw has it all. She's famous, stylish, gorgeous, and she's an Aloko, a charismatic person gifted with a melody that people adore. Everyone loves her until she's cast as the villain who exposed a siren to the whole world. Dragged by the media and canceled by her fans, no one understands her side, not her boyfriend, not her friends, not even her fellow Aloko. Vilified by those close to her, Naima heads to the Southwest, where she's determined to stage a comeback to her family, her real self, and the truth about her magic. What she finds is a new community and a flourishing group of online fans who support her. At first, it feels like it used to, but when her online advocates start targeting other black girls, Naima will realize that for black girls like her, even the privilege of fame has its limits, and only Naima can discover the true purpose of her power and how to use it. All right, and that is A Chorus Rises, the sequel to A Song Below Water, available on June the 1st. All right, and finally, the fourth and final book coming out from Tor on June the 1st. This is something called The Library of the Dead. The author is T.L. Huchu. This is volume 1 of a new series called Edinburgh Nights, and it's described as Sixth Sense meets Stranger Things in T.L. Huchu's The Library of the Dead, a sharp contemporary fantasy following a precocious and cynical teen as she explores the shadowy magical underside of modern Edinburgh. And reading up on the listing, yes, we have a precocious teen heroine here, but it is a book that is being marketed as adult. All right, so anyway, moving on. It says, Ropa dropped out of school to become a ghost talker, and they sure do love to talk. Now she speaks to Edinburgh's dead, carrying messages to those they left behind. A girl's got to earn a living, and it seems harmless enough. Until, that is, the dead whisper that someone's bewitching children, leaving them husks, empty of joy and strength. It is on Ropa's patch, so she feels honor-bound to investigate, but what she learns will rock her world. Ropa will dice with death, as she calls on Zimbabwean magic and Scottish pragmatism to hunt down clues. And although underground Edinburgh hides a wealth of dark secrets, she also discovers an occult library, a magical mentor, and some unexpected allies. Yet, as shadows lengthen, will the hunter become the hunted? Okay. Fascinating. Well, that is The Library of the Dead by T.L. Huchu on June the 1st from Tor. Okay, moving on, we have another Tor.com release. This is on June the 15th. This is Inside Man by K.J. Parker. K.J. Parker returns to the amoral world of Prosper's Demon with a wry, sardonic novella that flips the eternal rule-governed battle between men and demons on its head. An anonymous representative of the devil, once a high-ranking Duke of Hell and now a committed underachiever, has spent the last forever of an eternity leading a perfectly tedious existence, distracting monks from their liturgical devotions. It's interminable, but he prefers it that way, now that he's been officially designated by downstairs as fragile. No, he won't elaborate. All that changes when he finds himself ensnared, along with a sadistic exorcist, in a labyrinthine plot to subvert the very nature of good and evil. In such a circumstance, sympathy for the devil is practically inevitable. Okay, so that's Inside Man, and that will be out June the 15th from Tor.com Publishing. Now, moving up to June the 22nd. This is going to be another busy day. I think we have at least 3 books on June the 22nd. The first of these is in from Rebellion. And it's a book that is from my anticipated fantasy list. It's called 7 Deaths of an Empire. The author is G.R. Matthews, and this is described as grimdark. So if you're a fan of Song of Ice and Fire and writers like Joe Abercrombie and Anna Smith Spark, then this is for you. It says, "The Emperor is dead. Long live the Empire. General Borden has a lifetime of duty and sacrifice behind him in the service of the Empire. But with rebellion brewing in the countryside and assassins, thieves, and politicians vying for power in the city, it is all Borden can do to protect the heir to the throne. Apprentice magician Chiron is assigned to the late Emperor's honor guard, escorting his body on the long road back to the capital. Mistrusted and feared by his own people, even a magician's power may fail when enemies emerge from the forests, for whoever is in control of the Emperor's body controls the succession. 7 lives and 7 deaths to seal the fate of the Empire." All right, that is 7 Deaths of an Empire, available from Rebellion on June the 22nd. And on that same day, we have another Tor.com title. This is called Star Eater. A new book by Kirsten Hall, who had a book last year called The Border Keeper. And it goes this way. It says, Elfrida Rawn will avoid pregnancy if it kills her, and one way or another it will kill her. Though she's able to stomach her gruesome day-to-day duties, the reality of preserving the sisterhood of Atrium's magical bloodline horrifies her. She wants out, whatever the cost. So when a shadowy cabal approaches Elfrida with an offer of escape, she leaps at the opportunity. As their spy, she gains access to the highest reaches of the sisterhood, and enters a glittering world of opulent parties, subtle deceptions, and unexpected bloodshed. A phantasmagorical indictment of hereditary power, Star Eater takes readers deep into a perilous and uncanny world, where even the most powerful women are forced to choose what sacrifices they will make, so that they might have any choice at all. And that is Star Eater on June the 22nd. And finally, here's one that a lot of people are looking forward to. On the 22nd, this is The Witness for the Dead by Catherine Addison. Catherine Addison returns at last to the world of the Goblin Emperor with this standalone sequel. Goes like this. When the young half-goblin Emperor Maya sought to learn who had killed his father and half-brothers, he turned to an obscure resident of his court, a prelate of Euless, and a witness for the dead. Thara Selahar found the truth, though it did him no good to discover it. Now Selahar lives in the city of Amalo, far from the court, though not exactly in exile. He has not escaped from politics, but his position gives him the ability to serve the common people of the city, which is his preference. He lives modestly, but his decency and fundamental honesty will not permit him to live quietly. And that's all we get, as sort of a tantalizing teaser of The Witness for the Dead by Catherine Addison, available from Tor Books on June the 22nd. All right then, and now the final eARC for this week. We're wrapping up with a book coming out on June the 29th, also from Tor. And this looks to be a debut, I believe. It's a book called When the Sparrow Falls. The author is Neil Sharpson. And it looks to be kind of like a near-future sort of political thriller kind of a thing. It says, life in the Caspian Republic has taught Agent Nikolai South 2 rules. Trust no one, and work just hard enough not to make enemies. Here, in the last sanctuary for the dying embers of the human race in a world run by artificial intelligence, if you stray from the path, your life is forfeit. But when a party propagandist is killed and is discovered as a machine, he's given a new mission: chaperone the widow, Lily, who has arrived to claim her husband's remains. Okay, so it sounds like it's a similar premise to 7 Deaths of an Empire. But when South sees that she, the first machine ever allowed into the country, bears an uncanny resemblance to his late wife, he's thrown into a maelstrom of betrayal, murder, and conspiracy that may bring down the Republic for good. Ooh, okay. So When the Sparrow Falls illuminates authoritarianism, complicity, and identity in the digital age, in a page-turning, darkly funny, frightening, and touching story that recalls Philip K. Dick, John le Carré, and Kurt Vonnegut in equal measure. All right. And that is When the Sparrow Falls by Neil Sharpson from Tor Books on June the 29th. All right, everybody, that was a ton of books, but you know the drill. Light up those comments. Let me know which of these looks most interesting and exciting to you, which you would like to see me prioritize for review. And as always, if you enjoyed watching, please hit the like button, share the video far and wide with all of your SFF reading friends, and above all, please subscribe if you have not done so. That is how the channel grows. We're going to hit 9,000 here, and it's very, very exciting. I want to thank all of you. Want to make some exciting plans, maybe. Want to think ahead to 10,000. What kind of cool stuff will I do when we hit 10K? I guess we'll have to find out, right? But thank you all for the support. You can also support the channel at my TeePublic store and at my Patreon, where recruits into Wink's Army get little perks like getting early access to some of my videos. Usually depending upon when I finish editing them. So I want to thank all of those lovely people for their added support. It is greatly appreciated, especially during these difficult times. And I want to thank all the rest of you guys for being the very best viewers in all of BookTube. And until I see all of you next time, please stay safe and warm and healthy and happy reading.